Energy knows it's called.
No, actually, Misha, for me, I immediately start thinking in numbers about this whole story, how to implement it. In general, I'm not afraid. It's just that, when it comes to figuring out how to do it, I start thinking about networks.
Where all the profit is 300,000 rubles for me.
That's how it was for me. It's just,
I have Rob who makes 600 by selling on the downturn. Or not, the company just calls about risks and responsibility and says, Allah, are you going to buy for 600,000?
no office.
From the
Calls from the kitchen. Hello. Sometimes he even writes. Just calls from the line. Sometimes people write to him. 600.
There are approximately 1,000 different items currently available for you to choose from in this collection.
The problem with most small entrepreneurs is that the significance of the numbers that are happening is way too overestimated. The point is, if you do everything right now, then in the next 6 months, you'll make more money than you have in your entire previous life. What do you think about that idea?
That's a cool idea.
To earn more in half of 2025 than in 32 years of life.
That's awesome.
In the past year, I've earned more than in my entire previous life. Well, before that.
Thank you.
Last year, I made more than in all the years before combined. I like that idea. To earn in a year what you made in your whole life. If we're talking about those kinds of numbers, about such ambitious goals, I really like it when an entrepreneur comes to a session with the goal of earning 15 million rubles. And he asks, what about you? What's your turnover in this area? He says, we have 5,375,000 rubles. If you're stuck on 75,000 rubles in your mind, then you're definitely not ready for 15 million. You see what I mean? For you, those 75,000 rubles seem so important, but what's the difference? You have either 5,500 or 5,700. You have 0, not 5, because 5 is basically the same as 0. The thing is, right now you're sitting in this chair.
Yes.
And you're looking at yourself from a third-person perspective. I've been with Kir for 10 years. I have a metal rolling company. Karkat is managing 300 million in various liabilities and exploring new directions for potential business deals involving MMK, NLMK, GTRK, and VGMK. Based in the city of Yekaterinburg, this man handles his business operations using an iPad to carefully monitor the P&L and DDS reports. And I'm sitting here and Rob made 600 for me. Well, in my reality, I'm like, so what? Like, what's the point? I put this in my mind because the importance you place on these numbers is overrated. In my reality, I treat these numbers more lightly. Well, obviously, because now I can look at the story from a different scale, but that's what I'm trying to convey to you. That as long as you keep holding on to this money like that, and to this whole story. This is also a really interesting thought that Roma Tarasenko told me back in that story when he advised me to go to the regions. I said, Roma, how do you take your brand to a new level, launch new products, and move on to the next chain? He says, there's this one big thing. Why is it that so many people can blow up so easily in their brand and revenue, especially in a company brand or a personal brand? It's very easy. There are a lot of people who have flared up like a candle, but only a few have managed to hold on. Why? Because he says when we talk about exponential growth, you have to take risks. You have to do things that no one has ever done before. Sometimes we go all in, we do something radical, unreasonable, strange, incomprehensible to people, and it works, right? I mean, it's unlikely that by doing things the usual way, like everyone else, you'll create something that everyone will start talking about. For example, this past week, my entire Instagram feed has been filled with a smiling guy wearing these kinds of glasses. Smiling like this. Lavender Raf. Have you seen him? Nikolai Anatolievich, who has already seen him. The fastest growing Instagram account in the country over the past week. He went from 30,000 followers to 250,000 in just 4 days. That's a real spike because he's super extraordinary, just a really strange guy. He can pull someone out of depression with just one sip. That's how gentle he is. And I'll find him for you and show you. But the thing is, how long will he stay up there? And then Roma tells me, the problem is when we first came up with the reviews, I had already been filming before that YouTube for 6 years, but I had results, almost zero. I said, okay, that's it. We're canceling everything. Screw it. Nothing works. I don't care. All in. We're doing reviews. We rent a hall, sell tickets, bring people in. They put me on stage and I analyze them without any preparation. And people are like, what if you mess up? What if it doesn't take off? I said, I don't know. I don't care. If I mess up, so be it. No big deal. 300 people will see the embarrassment. But at least we tried. But it took off. If you look at it, the introduction of these reviews in my career is one of the key factors that changed the game for the brand, the money, and everything else. And they were invented just like that, by going all in, taking a gamble. I literally said, we're canceling everything. And Roma gave me a really great piece of advice. He said, when you have nothing, it's very easy to take risks. But when you have something, you start to fear losing it. And that fear of loss keeps you from being a dreamer. Be a dreamer. Push forward and do incredible things. That's why you need to not be afraid to let go of the old, no matter how painful it was, if you want to always stay at the top.
And
you need to downplay your own scale. For you, it's an entire business, but for me, it's just some 300,000 rubles in profit. With current inflation, that's just crazy, honestly.